Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are live from the Our Voice from Our Place podcast. Tonight, I am here with Dovy from Our Place. Dovy is 20 years old. Dovy's been with us for a while. Dovy also currently is working for a law firm as a project manager. And very exciting news as well for everyone here is Dovy's also going to the military. Dovy, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great.
You
Long day of work.
Yeah.
But we're good.
Yeah. You like the name Dovy? I saw your face as soon as I said it.
I've never gotten along with anyone named Dovy. I don't know why.
Well, we may have to find you some guys named Dovy for you to get along with.
Well, right now it's me, so,
You gotta love yourself, right?
Yeah, I like one Dovy now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're doing good things here already.
Well, yeah, listen, you gotta start with yourself and then you move out to other people, right?
Yeah, self-love's the easy part, though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, whoa. Self-love is the easy part?
Well,
Or coming from an
when
experienced...
you're me, then yeah, I love myself. What's not to love?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, well, we got to tell the folks out there, self-love is important.
Exactly.
Oh, we could touch on that later. We don't always like starting with the heavy stuff at the beginning.
All right.
So why
Push
don't
it
you...
off.
Yeah, exactly. Kick the can down the road. So why don't you tell us, so you're 20 now.
Yeah.
You're working for a law firm. So what do you do there? Project manager. That's like a very generic... What does that mean?
So I got to give myself the title because they didn't know what exactly to call me. So I figured project manager seemed cool enough.
Right.
But it's mainly just a lot of paperwork. Like I got a bunch of templates for a bunch of things, and I got to turn the templates into like actual legal documents. I got to organize their books and a bunch of stuff like that. Just a big nerdy job for people who are good with paperwork and don't hate themselves for doing paperwork. The latter is, a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, for sure. But you're keeping yourself busy and you're making money.
That's the big thing. My military position didn't come with a signing bonus, so I figured that if I just work my butt off until I ship off, then that'll be my own signing bonus, whatever money I make from there.
For sure. So when did you start?
Just a few weeks ago, I think.
Oh, wow.
This is week 3.
I'll say the Amish did it part-time. Like, not part-time, short-term.
Yeah, I mean, as a project manager, like they only really have me there for one particular project, and then once that's done, I'm out.
Right. And you did that specifically because you're going to the military.
Yeah, so I applied for jobs elsewhere. I applied for a job at a bank and a bunch of other things, just for jobs the plan was for me to just take the job, not tell them that I'm leaving, and then give them 2 weeks right before I ship off. I didn't know what else to do.
I need a job. I'm here for 2 months. They finally train you in, and it's like, all right, bye.
Yeah, that's what it was going to be. It's like, I just want my money, and obviously if I tell someone, yeah, I'm only here for 2 months, they're going to say, yeah, enjoy that,
good
buddy.
Luck. Right. And is it good work? You find any like interest in it, or it's just does it ends to mean?
I've worked in law firms, mainly this one actually before, back with Youth Corps in the summers.
Youth Corps.
Yeah, when I was in high school, it was a good way to just make whatever minimum wage over the summer because I wasn't exactly very hireable. Like,
right.
Who's hiring a little 9th grader to go do actual work? No one. So it's like my options were a day camp, like maybe a supermarket or that. So I just took that. So I already know enough about this. I've taken some law classes in college and all that. So I find an interest in law. I don't think it could ever be something I could do full time.
Right.
Mainly just because, law school.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like law. It interests me. I think I know it pretty well, especially for someone of my age who's never really studied law too much.
Right.
But as far as a part-time interest, I think it's really good. Like I'm learning a lot about the industry, so I find that. So
you're saying you can like write up a legal document like right now.
I was doing that when I was 14. Yeah.
Right. Literally. So like law firms hire child labor.
No.
Whoa, we may have to edit that out.
Don't edit that out. It's a very
calling
one.
Shots.
I can only name 2 law firms who have hired minors, and I've worked at both of them.
If it's through Youth Corps, it's legal and permitted.
Right, that's how they did it. Only that. Don't worry.
Exactly.
No lawsuits today.
Especially against this podcast. Okay, so you're doing that, and you mentioned you went through college, so you have a degree.
Yeah, I have my bachelor's. It's in business administration. I just got it actually this August.
Wow, where do you graduate from? Brooklyn?
Yeah, Brooklyn College. I didn't set the bar very high, so.
Brooklyn College gets it done for a lot of people.
Yeah, I had offers to much better schools, actually, some on scholarship. But
Right.
at the end of the day, I just wanted to graduate in 2 years, and I think Brooklyn College gave me the best option for that. I get to live at home. I get to work on my own pace. obviously make my own schedule, but you can do that anywhere. But it's obviously much easier if, I live like 3 blocks away from Brooklyn College.
Right.
So as far as free time, if your commute is just like 5 minutes and 3 minutes of that are spent in bed, I think it's pretty easy to get
Literally
to get the
last
degree.
minute wake up.
Yeah, I'll set my alarm 20 minutes before class, just make a coffee and run to class.
100%. That's the way to do things.
That's how I did it.
Listen, so now that you said that, so do you think that it's important, at least for you, was it important picking a specific school, like that was better or worse, or was this more of just get in, get out?
So in hindsight, hindsight's always 2020. I've still been thinking about how much easier things would have been if I would have just went to like, I don't want to say a real school because Brooklyn College is a real school, but like,
Right.
I guess a more respected school through an ROTC program. Just stay there the full 4 years. And then immediately after, I ended up joining the military, which is what I ended up doing anyway. Of course, I didn't know I was going to be joining the military until actually this summer. I was working a summer job.
Right.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
And at some point, I'm on like a 5-minute lunch break, whatever it is, because I was the only worker there. So 5 minutes was really the most I could have for a lunch
Wow.
break.
Talk about workplace conditions.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, if you want to sue them, go for it. But
Right, for sure.
not our place and not my law firms. Thank you. But anyway.
No names were named in this podcast.
We'll keep it that way. Except for the name Dovy, of course. A very beautiful name.
Our very own Dovi. Yeah.
But anyway, I get a text from a recruiter. And every time, these recruiters text me a lot. Like when I was taking my SAT, they have a sign-up option. Like, you put in your number. Can military people recruit you, text you, whatever. I'm like, yeah, go for it. Why not?
Right.
I'm like, I'm never going to join the military, but whatever. I'll have fun. Like I've seen pictures all over the internet of texting.
Right.
Conversations where the military is just like, hey, have you ever considered joining the army? And
Right.
someone just like, I am a fugitive from the law or whatever, something stupid like that. I'm, yeah, whatever, give me a little chuckle. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. The military can have my number, but they text me while I'm working this job. I'm not going to say where for obvious reasons, but it's a horrible job. And I'm thinking, I'm like, at this point, anything is better. So I actually, I'm responding. I'm like, yeah, I'd be interested. I'm about to get my degree. So if there's anything, in business that you guys would be interested in, and have openings for, of course, then I'd be willing to give it a look. And from there, I did my research. They were giving me information. And I'm like, hey, this isn't half bad. So
And now you're joining the military.
No, now I'm in. I'm
I'm saying you're joining, meaning that you're in a couple weeks you're shipping out.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. They're gonna whip me into shape.
I always haven't been a fan of like there was a big debate, not to get political, but there was the big debate like 20, 30 years ago in Israel, where they asked Reb Shach and Panovich if guys who are, it was Reb Shach or somebody else, if I should stop naming names because I don't know exactly who, but they asked one of the big Rosh Yeshivas about guys who are really not doing a lot. Should they join the military? Because at the end of the day, part of living in Israel is you have to do Sherut Leumi. You have to do service for your country. So one of the things that they said was that if a guy's not doing anything, then maybe he should join the military. It's a positive experience because in the military, they teach you responsibility and they teach you owning up for your own actions and working as a team and all those things. So I happen to have always been a fan of really joining the military. I mean, I wouldn't have joined myself.
I can see that.
Anybody who knows me, I'm not the most active, but I think that it's a very important thing, especially to me, the Israeli military, obviously, because that's, my country and that sort of thing. But even the American military, I'm saying there's still a certain aspect of training yourself to be disciplined. I think that's a really important thing that many of us struggle with during our lives. I don't know if you've ever encountered something like that, but some of us struggle with being disciplined. And joining an institution like the military can allow somebody to, against their own will, so to speak, learn to make their own bed perfectly, to fold their clothing properly, to stand at attention, to learn how to listen to guidelines and other things like that. And there's a certain inherent, in therapy, CBT, right? CBT is something that's done to if there's a negative behavior, right? So a lot of times CBT is done to, feel free to interject at any point, by the way, but CBT is done to help train the brain to not, do that behavior. So I guess you could say the military is similar in a sense.
No, I agree. I mean, in most facets of life, discipline is kind of you either got it or you don't. But
Right.
if you're in the military, or obviously if you have prior military experience, whatever it is, they force you to have that discipline. Because if you don't, you're getting you're getting shoved to the ground, and you got to do 50 push-ups right now.
Right.
And
Nobody wants to do that.
Right.
Especially when how many you have to do to be in service shape?
Service shape, I think the minimum, at least for my age bracket, which is 20 to 24, is I believe 42. That's the minimum. I think.
Push-ups?
Yeah.
And how many pull-ups?
I don't think they have a minimum for pull-ups, but you
It's
should be able to
push-ups
do that.
and planks?
And running, yeah, a mile and a half.
A mile and a half, and how long?
I think the minimum is about 12 minutes and 22 seconds.
It's about an 8-minute mile.
Yeah, not fun.
Are you able to do an 8-minute mile?
Perhaps.
We will not disclose that on the. We'll get back to you in 3 weeks with an update if Dovy ran the 8-minute mile.
I have a few weeks to get there. I'm gonna get there. I'm making progress. Don't worry about me.
Teaching yourself discipline even now.
I have to.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think it's really exciting. I think that, there's a lot to gain from there. And when you come back on, what's it called when they give you break?
I wouldn't know.
Right. But when they give you like break from deployment, that sort of thing,
yeah.
like when you come back in your full Navy dress with the stripes and the white suit, right? The white suit.
Oh, yeah.
Navy,
the
military.
I guess we're cutting that one out.
Yeah.
Whoever's editing, you make sure you remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Cut out until here. So when you're coming back from the military,
Right.
and you come back in your full military uniform,
Yeah.
it'll be great.
It will. I'm definitely gonna enjoy yelling at these kids here, making sure they get their things together. But at the same time, I mean,
Oh, now
it's just a
now
job.
you've become yelling at kids.
That's the job. I'm going in as an officer. That's what we do.
So you're saying you're gonna come back here and you're gonna see if you can run a boot camp here.
Yeah, the Our Place boot
That's
camp.
what we're talking about. Where we're saying yelling at kids.
Yeah, obviously, nothing else, never.
Right.
We're very nice people here, actually.
We always are. So tell me now that we're getting onto that topic. So you've been here for how long?
I can't put an exact date on it. It's somewhere in the realm of 5 years, though.
Wow. So how do you find out about this place?
I was hanging
This
out
is
with
our place, by the way, just in case you haven't heard from the podcast and from the label of the podcast. We're located at 1805.
1815 Avenue M.
1815 Avenue M. Thank you, Dovy, for knowing that more than me.
What would you do without me?
1815 Avenue M, in between East 18th and East 19th Street. So, yeah, so how do you hear about us?
I was hanging out with one of my friends in one of the local parks. I'm definitely not going to give the name because I wouldn't want anyone going to any of the parks.
And everybody knows which park we're talking about.
It's not that one. It's the other one. But now you know which one I'm
The
talking
other
about.
one, yeah. And for everybody else who's listening, it's not that one, it's the other one. So now you don't know which other one and which was that one, but we can assume which one is which.
We just lost half our listeners. Thank you.
Viewership has dropped 50%.
Don't blame me.
Blame AJ. Yeah, so you were saying, so you were hanging out there.
So I'm with my friend. We're just hanging out. There's a few other people, but it's mainly just me and my friend. Like at this point, I've known this friend for about 2 years, and everyone else here I either met like that day, that week. I'd only started like hanging out in these parks like fairly recently at that point, maybe about a month. So at some point, my friend just like, F this. Let's just go to our place, he says. I'm like, what the heck is our place?
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm not allowed to swear.
No, you're not.
So I'm like, what the heck is
friendly.
our place?
Yeah, heck is okay.
Right. So I thought it was like R, like the letter R. So I'm like, this doesn't even make sense.
Toys R Us.
Right,
our
like
place.
Toys R Us, something like that. So I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. So he's just like, just come. I'm like, I don't want to come. I have better things to do. He's like what? I'm like, I don't know. Like, not going to our place.
At that time, it was, I don't know, whatever's not that.
Yeah, it's like, I've never heard of this place. Like,
Right.
And, my friends don't always make very good life decisions, so I was assuming this was another bad one.
Right.
So
Calling out. Yeah.
So he ends up winning that one. He drags me in here. I'm walking into some basement, and I'm like, this is the most sketchy thing I've ever seen. There's like a 94% chance I'm getting robbed by tonight, but whatever. I'm with my friend. He'll protect me.
Right, exactly.
So I get in here. I'm immediately interviewed by one of the staff. What school do you go to?
Pull you in.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm answering the questions. I'm being honest.
We call those registrations.
I call them interviews.
Right.
Or I just got arrested and now I'm talking to my lawyer.
This is not like that. You were giving us a bad rap here, but
No, it's really peaceful, but I just didn't know anyone here.
Yeah,
so.
it's true. Generally, we like to wait a little bit, actually. Yeah, which is interesting.
But for me, I mean, I wasn't even sure if I was coming back.
Right.
But I'm being asked questions. Like, whatever, I'll answer them. Or whatever, what's my mom's name, number, whatever it was. Like, just in case something happens to me.
School and, yeah.
All the easy questions. So I felt like not lying that day, which is weird because, like, at that point, like 9 out of 10 times that happens, I would have lied about everything and probably never come back.
Right.
But then they had free food and, I'm Jewish. If there's two things I like, it's free and food. So I stayed for that. Hung out.
By the way,
bit.
everybody, Dovy is a little bit of a comedian.
But I think I'm the second best comedian at our place, but there's not a really high bar for that. So.
So you came back because?
I came back because, well, the next day I was pretty hungry, and I remember there was a place for free food.
So this is interesting because I actually wrote on the teen Instagram account, and I can actually read it to you right now. It took me like a minute and a half.
I don't know how much I trust your reading skills, but let's go for it.
Yeah, I have a master's. It says here, Our Place Teens is a teen division within Our Place. Come enjoy a hot meal, a workout, or join us for a trip. Contact admin if you have any questions.
That's misleading.
What was the top thing that I wrote? Come enjoy a hot meal.
That's misleading. That food was cold yesterday. Like
Dude,
lukewarm, room
Tonight,
temperature chicken sandwich? Come on.
The chicken sandwich, well, come on. When you go to even Schnitzie's, right? A lot of the times, after you finish the first half of your sandwich, the other sandwich is cold already.
Oh, you're talking to the wrong person.
And by the way, and trust me on this one, they taste way better lukewarm.
No, they don't. And
We'll have this debate another time.
oh, but I think the viewers would love that.
We'll also lose viewership 50%.
No, we're gonna get viewership from that.
Right,
Just
that's
name
true.
it like the Great Chicken Sandwich Debate.
Which place is better? But no, but it happens to be that tonight and Sunday night and Monday night's dinners are generally like they're sandwiches. So, but like Tuesday night pizza, if you get it when it's here, it's hot and fresh. You come Wednesday night, all the food is hot originally. Thursday night, the food is hot. There's always hot cholent. But it happens to be that one of the things I think that draws people in to really anywhere, and this is not just a Jewish thing, this is a human thing, is food, right? Because
Everyone eats.
everyone eats, and not just everybody eats, but the communal aspect of sitting around and eating with people, it brings people together, right? That's why, you know, the Jews, we do Yom Tov and Hanukkah and all this stuff where we have parties and we have get-togethers and Friday night meals and Shabbos meals where everybody comes and they eat together because food brings us together. So I think that the one of the headliners and the reason why I wrote "Come enjoy a hot meal" is a lot of times, I mean, especially during the winter months. You know, it's cold outside. You walked here, right? You took the train. You walked here.
I walk here.
You walked, right? That's why military shape.
Yeah, I'm getting my steps in. Come on, respect me.
You just got to start running here.
I do that. It's not fun. I just come here like, and that's just running from the bus sometimes.
You come here, you're all sweaty, and then you sit down. You could have a hot meal, and I think that's always something that you know will always bring people in and together. So you came back because you were hungry the next night.
Yeah, but once I was here, like at this point my friend wasn't there. I think he said he texted me. He's like, "Yeah, I'll be there soon. You know, just wait for me." So I'm just like, "Okay." So I'm not just gonna stand there in a corner eating my food. So
Right.
there's some people at the table. I'll talk to them, make my small talk, and I just like the vibes here. Like the staff is much nicer, much sweeter than I thought. Like
Right.
in places like this, it's like what I was assuming it was. Like I see the gym, see some big intimidating guy in there, whatever it is. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's just gonna be the kids and the staff, two very separate things.
Right.
Like there's just gonna be the kids doing whatever kids do, trying to sneak in alcohol, weed, allegedly, whatever it would be.
Yeah,
And
we'll
then-
have to edit that out as well. The
Apologies.
sneak stuff in or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, that's not really a thing anymore. That was
Right.
they-
Well,
actually y'all
you know,
did a
I
great job with that.
Well, I also, we haven't actually talked about that on the podcast yet, but that's fine. But I always found that like we always we have certain rules. Like we have a couple rules here, right? We
Solid 2 or 3.
Literally, it's there's no weapons down here. There's no substances or anything like that, and that's really about it as far as I can remember. And I think like
No fighting is a big one too.
right.
That's the one that gets broken sometimes.
Yeah, but the point is that like we want to, it's so funny because you would think that like there would be like a thing of like guys who are like, oh, everybody's gonna be trying sneaking stuff down here, but like after the first couple of times, like yeah, somebody will come over to and say something to you, but after like a certain point, you realize that nobody's out here to get you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I mean, my experience in being here for the past couple of years and seeing other staff members and seeing when something happens right? I want to hear from your perspective. At least my perspective is like, no staff member's out to get you. No one's out to do anything that'll harm you, or if you're doing even something that's not exactly what we don't want, right? Nobody's gonna go start yelling at you or like whatever. I don't know if you've had that experience.
No. So what I was actually trying to get at before was, I mean, I assumed that it would be like that. Like at the time I was in yeshiva, like it was my last year in yeshiva before,
Right.
Something happened. I ended up going to public school, whatever.
Yeah, that's okay.
But
we can talk about that.
No, so I was expecting it to be more like the yeshiva environment, where it's like, there's the kids and then there's the rabbim, and the teachers who are going to yell at them when they do any little slip up. So it's like, whatever, I'll stay away from the staff, hang out with the kids, it'll be fun. But, I ended up getting along with everyone on the staff and only some of the kids, so go figure.
See, you came in with a certain set of expectations, and what ended up happening?
I blew those out the water.
Right. And I think that there's something, and it's so funny because as staff, we're not intrusive.
Not
like
at all.
nobody, like, yeah, sometimes we'll see a guy sitting alone or whatever. It's like, obviously everybody, you want to go over to somebody and make them feel welcome, make them feel comfortable. But like nobody's like, oh, we see a guy, let's talk to him and get him to like befriend us, because he looks like it's everybody here is naturally friendly, and I think that spreads to even members like you. Like you see that type of role modeling, so to speak, right? And you see how everybody here is friendly and everybody is just welcoming with everybody. You yourself become welcoming.
Yeah, I would say like I'd like to give myself a little pat on the back over here. I'd say that I've become a much better person, a much nicer, accepting person over the years, and I would like to give Our Place some of the credit for that. I think it has actually done a pretty solid job at shaping me, showing me my flaws. Even like people here, they're not afraid to call you out on your BS. I've been called out on my BS, and I respect the people who have done it, and they were right, 100%.
Yeah. But it's all done with love.
Of course, that's the best part. It's like I don't feel like this is some Rebbe who's yelling at me for not having my finger on the place, and it's like, okay, do I really need my finger on the place to grasp what's going on? No,
Right.
so shut up. It's none of that. It's more like, this guy's noticing an actual flaw. He's pointing it out, and if I listen to him, I'll get better from that. So that's what I'll do.
And that's a positive. We had a thing recently. I want to talk about that for a little bit. A business speaker event.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Now, I don't want to get into the whole what would be that whole conversation. I want to stay away from that for now. I want to talk more about maybe I want to get feedback now. Because you were part of both of them so far, right?
Those were fun,
and I want you to be right, and I want to do more.
You should.
Right.
I know some speakers who would come in.
All right, you got to give them to me. I'm ready whenever you are.
All right, let's
especially
see.
Before you run away to the military.
I mean, they are kind of busy, so.
Okay, so we'll try to get them in.
If any night works.
But I'm curious to know if those have been an experience for you, and we don't have to get into the advice part, but I'm talking about as a whole. I mean, I know that. Yeah. Let's just hear your opinion on that.
Right. So I mentioned earlier, I do have a business degree. Yeah, it's only a bachelor's. It's only from Brooklyn College. Whatever.
Listen, you have a knowledge in business. We're not going to take that away from you.
I have managed, a business before. I did a really good job with that, I like to say, and the numbers would agree with me.
Right.
So we did have some business speakers
numbers
come
don't
in.
lie.
Some people who, most of them I respected.
Right. Well, listen, not everybody's going to win every day.
Right. I mean, one of the guys we had come in, he was just saying things I didn't agree with from a business perspective.
Which is okay.
It's okay. People are allowed to disagree. I don't know. I didn't really like this guy in general. He just didn't. He seemed like he was kind of just pulling things out of a hat and saying like, okay, here's a saying I can say that I don't actually apply to my business if my business is actually successful.
Right. And the guy that was positive.
Oh, everyone, but all the speakers were positive.
Right, but I'm saying that the guy that you did agree with, a lot of what he was saying. This guy was how old? He was 24, right?
Oh, that one. I didn't agree with him. I agreed with the other one, the one he came with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I didn't agree with the 24-year-old.
Well, I'm not talking about his opinion on the thing, but I'm talking about as a whole.
I like the way he presented himself, and I can acknowledge that he's obviously, very successful, as you kind of have to be to speak on these things. But
it's interesting now that you say that, because I mean, we don't have to get into a whole. I mean, we could or we don't into a whole topic of how do you measure success, because most people measure success with money. I don't measure success with money.
But as far as it
never
goes with a
did.
business speaker, you probably should.
Not at all, actually.
So you're saying character.
I don't even just say character. I think accomplishment a lot of the time. And
But does that not go hand in hand with money? If you accomplish
I
a
don't
lot
think
in the
so.
business world, you're going to end up with money, no?
I don't think so. I think you could be an extremely accomplished writer, a prolific writer, and not just and not be wealthy.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
writers don't get paid.
you can also be an accomplished scientist who've cured diseases, and you're not a millionaire.
Right.
So, like, there are people in colleges who will make breakthrough discovery, and they're not awarded hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts. Now, there are times that they are, and there are times that other things like this happen. But I happen to always think that success can be measured in so many different, in different, not amounts, but in different categories. That I think that each person has their own opinion of how you measure success. How do you measure success?
So I do agree with everything you just said, but I also believe that, it's entirely relative to, I guess, what you're successful in. So in everything you said, in the science thing, the writing, like, sure. But I think we're talking about business here, and I'd say that success in business is typically marked by the money you've made from it.
So what if you're the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, but you're only being paid X amount of dollars a year, which isn't a crazy amount of money, but you built up a company?
Well, you've earned much more money than that. Let's say you're a CEO making $30,000 a year, whatever. You could say what you want about that salary. It's enough to pay the bills, usually.
Right.
But if the CEO is making his company millions of dollars, billions of dollars, whatever it is, then I think that's his success. He doesn't have to
for sure,
refer to what's in
because
his
his
pocket.
accomplishment is where he's gotten his company to a certain point of financial security.
Of course.
But I
And
think
if he
that how
wanted
much a
to-
person makes isn't always the measure of success.
I was never asking any of these speakers their income. I'm with you there.
Right.
But I feel like, typically, if your company is doing very well, you're going to be doing very well.
Yes, I think that those two are synonymous.
Right.
But this business speaker thing, you're on board with it.
Oh, I'm very on board with it. I was actually part of a different business speaker event from a different Jewish program.
Right.
And that one was, also it was a different vibe. It wasn't really as much, they didn't really give opportunities for the kids, students, whatever you want to call them, to attack the speakers, as may or may not have happened.
No, verbally
attacking, as in, I guess, questioning their accomplishments in a fairly
Right.
aggressive manner, which is
Right.
not something we encourage here. At
No,
our place.
we don't encourage verbally attacking so much, but sometimes that happens when. Well, you know what? I think that all, like, at least for the most part, the people who are getting involved in that sort of thing and getting getting worked up about it, it's because it's something that means a lot and it's something that they feel strongly about. And I think that a lot of times when people feel strongly about something, they get worked up and they get angry. So not angry, but they get tense. Right. So these were things that people, it meant something to them. It was meaningful for them. And I think there was a lot of engaging discussions last time. And even the time in both times, there's some very engaging discussions. I think there were some very interesting topics that were discussed. And I really hope to continue doing them. Getting back to our place.
Right.
In the time that you were here, right? So you've been a part of our place for a long time, been a part of the family.
Right.
Does it feel like a family to you?
You're asking the wrong person. My family dynamic was always quite an interesting one.
Right.
So I don't really have much of a point of reference for that.
Right.
But I wouldn't really say that it is much of a family. I mean, there's some very clear disconnect between people here, but as a general thing, I guess people do get along, but not in the way a family does. There's no unconditional love and support. It's more of just good friends.
You wouldn't say there's unconditional love and support?
If you're saying from staff to kids,
Yeah, I'm talking about staff. Yeah.
From staff to kids, sure, but as far as
Well, from kids to kids, I mean, we try to for everybody to feel that way so that they can feel with others, but you can't put something into another person's brain. You got me nervous there when you said it doesn't feel like a family here, and I'm
Right,
like,
no,
no, we try to make it like a family, but no. What I meant to say is that with the staff and with everybody, there's always one thing that I think family's not family unless there's no dysfunction.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of dysfunction in some families.
Right. But I always happen to have believed that there's no such thing as a normal family, just as there's no such thing as a normal human being. Because we're all different.
I don't know
We're
about
all
normal.
different.
Perfect, sure. Like there's no
Perfect
perfection.
for sure not. I happen to be a big believer that there's no such thing as normal.
Depends what you think normal is.
Right. But that's a conversation. That's a different argument. But I'm curious to know if meaning there's a certain, like you said, an unconditional love and support from the staff.
Right.
Right. And from the concept as a whole, if you think that that's a sort of, you said that, you don't have a great reference point, but would you call this your family?
The word family just does seem a little strong to me.
Okay. So we'll go away from family.
No, like not like as a sensitive topic or
Right.
anything, but like just to call something a family would have to like, as much of an impact Our Place has had on my life, I don't know if if I feel physically comfortable calling it a family, but it's definitely been something, really good and positive in my life.
Right. Okay.
But I feel like it's more of, I don't know, I guess, can I say the word brotherhood without referring to like actual brothers?
Yeah, I think that brotherhood is a good way for you to describe it. Everybody's entitled to feel their own thing, and I think that's really good that you're able to, be comfortable to say that. I think that the goal for here is to create a certain sense of space and safety and that sort of thing. And not always will it work out. Not everybody will always feel that way. That's just how life is. I happen to think that we're one big family here, and we try to include everybody in the family.
I mean, I think that does go back to like how your family is. If your family is like something, I don't know,
But
lesser on the scale of intensity, then I would understand feeling that.
Well, I think that's just on a each person's basis of describing family.
Of course.
Of how you describe family. I'm using family in a general tense, in a general term, meaning
Right.
that we want everybody to feel like they're at home here, that they're comfortable to kick back. I mean, I'm literally recording this podcast half laying down on the couch.
Then there's me. I'm sitting up straight, perfect posture, right on the microphone.
Literally. But yeah, okay. I'm curious to know, any fears shipping out?
There's the general anxiety where it's just like, what if I don't make it? What if they end up like holding me back, making me stay longer because I'm not in, perfect military shape by the time I get in. But as far as anything past then, I mean, I'm here with open arms. Just, I mean, I have a lot of confidence in myself. I believe I'm going to make it. I believe I'm going to be the best effing military officer there is. So
Edit that out.
why are we editing that out?
Best military officer.
I said effing.
Best military
Fine.
officer.
Best freaking military officer there is.
Yes.
Don't edit that out. You heard
No.
that, production? You're not editing that out. But anyway, I feel like I'm going to be really good at what I do.
Right.
And from there, like as far as anything that's in my own hands, I guess, I'm not really nervous about. But I mean, I've heard stories. I believe some of them. I don't believe some of them. As far as how intense it could be. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a
You
challenge.
watch National Geographic and History
Nope.
Channel?
Not at all. But at the end of the day, it's a challenge, and that's just one more thing for me to succeed at.
Right. I want to talk about one of your hobbies, which we know about. And I think that the first time I ever interacted with you was like a year and a half ago. I think we had a conversation about basketball, and
I can specify. I remember that whole conversation.
And you told me that you write sometimes.
Yes, I do. Not really much anymore, just because I've been so busy between work and working out. But I do write. I'm a sports writer.
Right. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? How you get into it? I know you're a big Nets fan. There's a big. I mean, you're wearing an OKC Thunder shirt right now.
Oh no! I'm wearing a Steven Adams jersey, and I'm
Steven
wearing
Adams,
but I'm wearing Brooklyn Nets sweatpants because I'm trying to manifest it. We need Steven Adams here.
Who doesn't need Steven Adams? For all those who don't know, Steven Adams is a center on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Everybody likes him.
Memphis Grizzlies. He's been traded.
Oh, the Grizzlies. My bad. Shows how much I know. But
typical Knicks fan.
Jalen Brunson is him. So let's talk a little bit about. So you got. When did you start following basketball? Like what?
So when I was actually in 5th grade, good old days, a long time ago. When I was in 5th grade, I think my father took me to a basketball game, and I didn't really understand much of what was going on. What I did understand was that the tickets were clearly on sale.
Yeah.
Like those were good seats. But anyway, It's a Nets
It
game.
was a Nets game
Yeah.
when they moved to Brooklyn.
Right, this is their first year in Brooklyn.
Right.
It's some good times, and it could have been sixth grade. I don't know, but who wants to nitpick at that point? So it's their first year in Brooklyn. It's a brand new environment. We've got Reggie Evans, Gerald Wallace, and for the non-basketball fans, these are like some no names, and your friends who are basketball fans may or may not have heard of these guys anyway.
Reggie Wallace.
Reggie Evans and Gerald Wallace, if you're googling them.
No. Yeah.
But anyway, there were some no names on the team. Some guys who were, I guess, had a pretty
Williams.
play. Yeah, like Darren Williams. He had a pretty play style, but it wouldn't really amount to anything at any point, really.
Right.
He never really did have too much success. I think the one time he was ring chasing, joined the Cavaliers, they ended up losing in the finals. But
Right.
we don't talk about that. I respect Darren Williams. 1-0 in the boxing world.
Yeah.
Forget who he beat. Some NFL player.
Probably
anyway-
like Frank Gore.
Yeah, Frank Gore. That's the one.
Oh no. It was Frank Gore versus someone
Wasn't it
else.
Gore?
Was it Darren Williams? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Yeah. So you went to a Nets game.
Yeah, I went to a Nets game, and at that point, it's like all the kids in my class were Knicks fans, and I didn't really like the kids in my class. So at that point, it's
The
like,
only way to take a stand.
right, that's what it was. It's like I'm getting into basketball now. I'm going to pick my team. It's either I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I can root for either team, and nobody's going to judge me for it.
Oh, for sure. And they had just moved.
Right, we
at the
just
time.
moved there, so it's a perfect time to to hop on the bandwagon and hope it takes you to a good place. Spoiler alert, it didn't.
So far, it has not, but we're still manifesting Steven Adams to the Brooklyn Nets.
That's my only hope.
Right. So it's actually funny that you say that's one of the reasons why you became a Nets fan.
No, it was the reason.
The reason. So I have an interesting story to tell. So
Right.
I am an Atlanta Braves fan for baseball.
Weird.
Yeah, which is fine because we only won the World Series 2 years ago. But anyways,
You live in New York, buddy.
yeah, but Atlanta, chop on, lives in my heart.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, I have actually. I've been to Atlanta before.
Just to go to a Braves game?
No, a friend of mine got married there.
Wow.
Shout out Gavi. So I was in 11th grade, 10th
Right.
grade. I don't remember. This is a long time ago. I'm an old man.
I still want to. Oh, please, you're barely older than me.
We're not going to talk about it. So I was in high school, and I was a fan of a specific team. And basically, this team was a really great team, but I was getting like bored, I guess you could say, of like following New York sports team. Nothing was happening.
Nothing ever does. Not these days.
Right. Good cut in right there. And I was just like, you know what? I called a friend of mine. I said, you know what we're doing? We are going to pick names out of a hat. And of those names, we will decide. We'll pick 3 teams each, randomized, and we'll pick a team from each one. And the way it's going to work is that every single year for the next, until we're done, we are going to change teams every year. And we're going to learn the roster of the team. We're going to test each other. This is high school. What are we busy with?
Not
So-
your studies, evidently.
I did pretty well.
Clearly, Mr. Master's degree.
So, I picked out the Braves, Phillies, and Nationals. I picked out the entire NL East pretty much, besides for the Marlins and
Yeah, but who cares about them?
Exactly, and the Mets. And I was like, you know what? The Braves are really bad. They were really bad. It was like 2011 or something like that. Like they weren't a great team. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna become a Braves fan. So my friend picked out the Angels. He never learned the team, never did anything, and I just started watching Braves games, and I started like learning the team. And then the next year, instead of him, doing the same thing with me, he didn't. So I just continued being a Braves fan.
Did he keep the Angels or
No,
nothing? He just.
nothing. He just went back to being. I think he's a Met fan. I don't even know.
He's not doing too well now, huh?
And then, well, I mean, they signed Verlander, but
And where's DeGrom?
and I just started following the Braves, and then it just kept going and going and going. And then I remember I was in. Don't learn from me. I was in class. In game, the Braves won in 5 games. In game 5, no, in 6 games. In game 6, no, it's game 5.
Whatever. In the last game of the series.
In not the last, it's 7-game series. The
Didn't-
World Series.
But didn't you say they won in 6?
They won in
went to
5.
game
Right,
6.
whatever. They won the last game of the series. Yeah, you're right. And I was in class, and they made the last out, and I literally jumped out of my chair and, like, pumped my fist. And, like, I was on Zoom, and my professor just goes, like, AJ, are you okay? I was like, no, you don't understand. The Braves just won the World Series. This is awesome. But, yeah, this is, like, a lot of people always ask me the story of why I'm a Braves fan. Now I just said it live on air, so you have no excuse for not knowing.
No, we have an excuse. We lost all our viewers earlier, remember?
That was your fault.
No, I said we should bring it back with the chicken sandwich debate.
I mean, you know. But, so how'd you get into writing? Because that's really what I want to...
Right, so let's get back into the full story. So I'm a Nets fan, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. 8th grade, I kind of just
Was that
started
the
focusing...
Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett days?
Please don't remind me. Those days make me very angry.
Of the century. We're going to win so many
Yeah, good one. Fun fact, the Nets general manager who made that trade, Billy King, obviously not a GM anymore. He's really bad at his job. But what he does now is he actually teaches like courses on how to become an NBA GM. And I think he's the worst person in the world to do that.
He does teach. He teaches courses on how to become an NBA.
Courses, classes, something like that. Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
No, but like if
So
there's
Billy
anything you should
King
learn
does
from
not
today,
listen to this podcast.
I hope he does. Let him message me. Actually, I can give him a piece of my mind, a very explicit piece of my mind.
So you were saying?
Well, right now I'm saying that hey everyone, follow your dreams because if Billy King can tell people how to become a GM, you can do whatever the heck you want.
I love that. So you're following the Nets. It's 8th grade.
It's 5th grade, until 8th grade. 8th grade, like I'm focusing on my studies, like I'm getting into high school. Right. I did get into a pretty good high school, so there was a lot of, like I was working. And at that point, like I just didn't have enough like to follow basketball. Because like when I'm interested in something, like I will know everything there is to know about it.
Right.
So I could tell
As
you.
we know.
I could tell you right now just as much about Edmund Sumner, that's like the 11th, 12th man on the Nets roster, as I can about Kevin Durant, who's number 1 on that roster, and stuff like that.
Right.
If I'm interested, I'm gonna know it, whatever there is to know.
Right.
So once I'm committing that much time to something, when I'm focusing on so much other things that I have to give a higher priority to, I just kind of have to cut the Nets out of the equation.
Right.
So for the entirety of like 8th grade and high school, I just didn't care about anything. I didn't know that Kevin Durant left the Thunder, went to the Warriors. I didn't know much about that.
Right.
Like, every now and then my dad would be like, yo, you heard about this? LeBron did this. I'd be like, oh, cool. And that was it. It's like, back to studying I go. Have to get into college one day. Whatever.
Right. So you took a break from basketball for a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of just happened. It was never like a something where I was just thinking like, hey, I gotta stop doing this. It just it just happened. Like just one day I just stopped like
it just fizzled
watching
out.
games. No, it was like one day I just stopped watching games and I forgot like everything about watching games.
Right.
I forgot that I enjoyed it. Forgot things about players and whatever it was. And then through high school, I had other things to focus on, extracurriculars. First time in a co-ed school, there were a few things to focus on over there that I'm not going to get into. But anyway, then my senior year of high school was COVID year. So my last semester was like taken away by COVID.
Right.
And then at that point, I've got so much free time because all my teachers, like, they're not prepared for this. So they're just not assigning work.
Right.
So I was taking AP classes, whatever it was. So I'm doing a little studying from some textbooks I have because I have to pass the exams.
Right.
I did.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's, there's so many hours in the day. Like even if I sleep for 10 hours a day, I just have so many more.
Right.
I have another 14.
You're sitting at home doing nothing.
Right. I've got 3 hours of schoolwork on a busy day.
Right.
Go figure. Like most of my Zoom classes were optional, so I wouldn't go. Like,
right.
I didn't need to go. Whatever. It's AP macroeconomics. I'll figure it out.
Take the test and that's it.
Come on, I'm Jewish. We run the economy.
Exactly.
Don't cut that out.
I will not. So yeah. So you're having all this time in your day.
Right. So I don't have anything to do with it. So I start playing like whatever video games I can.
Right.
And at some point, I just get to 2K. I'm like, yeah, why not? I played 2K14 or whatever it was. I enjoyed it.
Right.
Let's get 2K. So I get 2K. It's fun. I see Kevin Durant in a Nets jersey. I'm like, what the heck happened here? I'm like, we're the cursed franchise. There's no way we got Kevin Durant. And apparently we had got Kevin Durant. He's not playing any games, but whatever, because he's injured. Achilles injury at the time.
Right.
But, oh my God, that's pretty cool. I'm like, I should go watch Nets games. And I remember that because of COVID, there aren't any Nets games, or any games for that matter.
Right.
But at some point that summer, they bring the season back in a little bubble. And this is while I'm working in a supermarket. That was my summer job that year.
Right.
And I mean, this supermarket would be really empty sometimes. So I would just take out my phone, put on a game, and watch whatever it was. The Nets were in the playoffs that year. I mean, we got swept, but who needs to talk about that?
Right.
But from there, I'm just watching, and I guess my love for the game just kind of like came back to me, and it hit me like a truck.
Right.
So and just like I just picked up like right where I left off, knowing just about anything there is to know about the game. But at this point, I mean, I'm a high school graduate going into college, and I've always been like a really good writer. Actually, from when I started high school, like I took my first English class. My teacher taught me like all the things I needed to know, like freshman English, like about writing.
Good writer.
Right. So it came to me naturally. I've always been a good writer, but I was always in very like from schools that didn't have like very good teachers for such subjects.
Right.
Yeah, as you get sometimes. I guess I would say I was in the wrong schools, but
right.
It is what it is. So at this point, I would just compile my thoughts, text my friends, because most of my friends have been crazy into basketball, but I wasn't, so they wouldn't talk to me about it. I'm compiling my thoughts. I'm at work, like the way it was. Like I wouldn't be able to use my phone like every time at work. Like sometimes we have like a big rush. I have to serve 30 customers, whatever. Not serve. You get the point.
Service, yeah.
Check out, service, yeah. So if I have like those 10 minutes, I'm just going to compile all my thoughts from whatever I've been watching on the TVs or whatever it is, and just write them down. And if I'm writing something down, I'm not going to like, I'm not going to abbreviate words or whatever it is. I'm going to write out my full thoughts. I'm going to make sure that every word I'm thinking is being said and conveyed to you.
Right.
So I end up writing a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool. So at some point, I just got bored, wrote a paper, sent it to some. I sent it to some paper, and I'm just like, yo, y'all can publish this if you want. They're like, okay, they did.
Wow.
I used a pseudonym, and I'm not going to say what that was.
Right, for sure.
No, but that paper blew up, I'm saying.
Yeah.
It did really well. I don't even remember what it was on. It was just like some thoughts on some particular part of basketball. And then from there, I'm like, this is cool. I love the attention. Let's keep doing it.
Especially when people don't know.
Right. So then when I end up going to college, they mandate 2 semesters of English. So for the second semester, the final was a 10-page paper. And I'm like, what subject is this on? And the teacher's just like, anything. I'm like, okay. Because at this point, I was already working on some big project on Stephen Adams, actually.
Oh, really?
It always comes full circle. So I was
always back to Stephen Adams.
Like I had his biography. I was reading it. I was like reading some whole thing like that on the intricacies of his life, his career, that I thought would be pretty interesting and applicable to just about anyone who wants to get into, I guess, a physical career.
Right.
So I already had like 8 pages of this. I'm like I could stretch this out to 10. So I stretched it out to 10, submitted it.
A+.
Yeah, A+.
That's fantastic.
100, easy.
Wow. All right, so before we wrap up,
right.
I mean, you already gave your one piece of advice, which is if you put your mind to something, then you can do it.
Although, to be fair, that was mainly just me not being a very nice person to Billy King.
Exactly. But what is something that you want to say to the world that's listening to this, which is not 8 billion yet, but maybe...
If we had the chicken sandwich debate, it would be 8 billion, but carry on.
Listen, we'll have to do the great chicken sandwich debate. We'll have a panel. There's 2 more inputs. We'll have a panel of people who know each other.
And who know a thing or two about chicken sandwiches, I hope.
Yeah, I'll make sure to get people who know a thing or two about chicken sandwiches. But what is something
Can we get sponsored by Schnitzies, by the way?
We can try.
Let them give us $5. Like, I'm not asking for a lot.
We'll think about it. So what is something that you want to say that you think, something you learned or something you experienced or something that you think is like it could be motivational or it could be totally something different?
What comes to mind right now? It's all the cliche, whatever it is, but life is gonna beat you up, and you just got to keep getting up, because there will always be opportunities to get where you want to go. You just got to take them. And once again, I know it's generic, I know it's a cliche, but that's what powered me through my life, and that's what got me to where I am now.
That's fantastic.
There it is.
That's a great line. No, it's always good to hear.
It sounds better when I say it the explicit way, but
Yeah, but that's fine. But I think that for me also it's always good to hear from younger people than me.
I'm like 3 years younger than you, bro. Calm down.
Wow, just call me out like that. But
you think you're my dad? Come on.
Whoa.
Oh, you were talking about family before. Yeah. Okay, uncle. Yeah.
But I think that it's always good to hear something, and I always like hearing from other people.
Have you been given yours?
What?
Have you been giving a final word to conclude these podcast episodes?
Generally not.
Then do it now.
Well, I gave one once upon a time.
Well,
on
what's made that twice
podcast,
upon a time?
On Sonny's podcast.
Okay, so not this podcast. So you can get one going.
Well, I think for this podcast, I'll do a little Hanukkah special because we're recording this on Hanukkah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Day 2, by the way.
Day
Or
2.
Night 2,
And
whatever.
You lit candles tonight.
Ah,
We'll be
look at
putting
me.
that on the Instagram.
Yeah, I'm so accomplished.
I mean, people might know who you are then, but...
I think they are. Anyone who knows would know.
Exactly.
It's like, I wonder who's in the military and is 20 with a bachelor's. Yeah, so many people.
But I think that it's important that if you think about a candle or you think about a flame or something like that, it's oil and a wick. That is my own thoughts. And just the concept of something like that can burn and can illuminate something.
For 7 nights.
No, I'm not talking about the nace itself. I'm talking about standard when you
Oh, I
light a
was kidding.
candle. Yeah.
Just making a bad joke.
When you light a candle, when you light something, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, you want to get into the scientific matter and whatever it is. Oh yeah, it burns because oxygen and this and that. I'm just talking about the fact that it's just if you don't know, it's just like in theory, it's just like okay, so I can literally spark, a fire will come out, and then I can light a piece of material that's connected to a fuel, and then that'll burn. And if you think about it, human beings, we're just bones and flesh, right? We're bones and flesh and blood and a brain and other stuff like that, but we're just an entity. But in reality, we can also light up a room. We can also illuminate others and illuminate things for other people. And I think that's just a thought that I had, and I think that maybe if I refined it, it would probably be more powerful.
So what I'm hearing is we're all candles. So everyone just needs a match. This episode is sponsored by J-Swipe.
That is definitely getting edited out.
No, I liked it.
Maybe. No, but I it's been said over, I think, is that we're all a spark. We all have a spark within us that we just have to ignite.
No, of course.
But the point is that we can illuminate for anybody and anything. And with that, we conclude.